I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
Hello, I'm James Brown, and on behalf of the Eastern Church of Christ located in Toronto, Canada, I'd like to welcome you to Thursday's edition of Walking Through the Bible, a podcast where we seek to study the Bible and the Bible alone. Please stick around afterwards for information on how you can contact us. But for now, if you have your Bible with you, please turn to the book of Genesis, and we'll turn the time over to Jeremy Diesekamp for our study of the day.
Thank you, James, and welcome to all of our viewers. This is the 69th lesson in our study of Genesis. Yesterday, we covered Genesis chapter 21, verses 22 to 34, discussing a treaty between Abimelech and Abraham. If you missed that episode and would like to watch it, you can find it and all of our other podcasts on our website at www.eastendchurch.org. You can also find them on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/EastEndChurchOfChrist under the Walking Through the Bible Genesis playlist. Today we're going to begin with Genesis 22 verse 1 and read through verse 8. The text that you'll see on the screen is from the English Standard Version, but you're welcome to follow along with any version that you have. So let's now read Genesis 22 beginning at verse 1. After these things God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, Here am I. He said, Take your son, your only son, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. And he cut the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day Abraham lifted his eyes, and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there, and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it on Isaac his son. And he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So they went both of them together. And Isaac said to his father Abraham, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. He said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they went both of them together. When we left Abraham in the last chapter, he was residing in Beersheba, in the far southern part of what would later be Israel. It is said in this chapter that God decided to test Abraham's faith. The reason for this test was not because Abraham had not been faithful in the past, because he had, but whether he would be faithful in all matters, even when he might not fully have understood why God was asking him to do this. As you may recall, Isaac was the seed of promise. He was the one born in Abraham's old age, the one through whom God would fulfill all of the promises of chapter 12, 15, and 17. Now God asked him to kill Isaac. It would not be unreasonable for Abraham to then think, but if I kill Isaac, then how are you going to fulfill all of your promises? But Abraham was a man of faith, for he fully trusted in the promises of God, that God would be able to fulfill his promises even if Isaac died. Hebrews 11:19 further illuminates Abraham's faith in that Abraham believed that God would raise Isaac from the dead in order to accomplish his purpose. Considering that we have not read of anyone in Genesis thus far being raised from the dead, it truly shows us how much Abraham trusted God and believed in God's power. To Abraham, God was able to do anything, even things that Abraham had never seen happen before. That's the type of faith we should be trying to aspire to as Christians, a faith that puts our full trust in God no matter our situation. But before moving on, we must say that this test from God was not a temptation by God to cause Abraham to sin. James 1:13 says that God does not tempt men to do evil. What Abraham was asked to do was not sinful. Not obeying would have been sinful, but obeying God would not have been sinful. Now I know that some might say that God calls human sacrifice sin. This would be correct, and Jeremiah 7:31 confirms this. We have to remember something though. God is the one who defines sin. Fornication is sin because God said so, not because sexual relations in and of themselves is sinful. Killing Isaac in sacrifice to God, if commanded by God, would not then be sinful solely because God commanded it. We are God's creation and therefore have no right to question God's commands. We simply must obey. So by faith, Abraham traveled 3 days to the land of Moriah in order to sacrifice Isaac on one of the mountains. It is believed, though not conclusively proven, that the mountain Isaac was to be sacrificed on is the same mountain that Solomon's temple was built on in 2 Chronicles 3 verse 1. If this is true, that would certainly be interesting, but if it is not true, then this mountain is simply just another mountain. Before leaving, Abraham had prepared the wood for the sacrifice, but brought no animals. When Abraham and Isaac went alone up to the mountain to worship, leaving the two others traveling with them behind, Isaac questioned Abraham about where the animal would come from. Abraham's response, God will provide. Abraham trusted in God for everything, something we need to do as well. With that, our time is up for today. Please join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we will continue our study of Genesis, beginning with Genesis 22, verse 9.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to our viewers, we also thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Should you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below or email us at answerintheword@gmail.com. We'll try to respond to you as quickly as we can. We hope you'll join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we'll be continuing our study of the book of Genesis. Goodbye for now and have a great day.
I'm not ashamed to own my Lord.